Hey everyone, so it's time to sit down for one of those heart-to-heart talks where I spill my guts out and I really share what's been happening. I admit my mistakes and I speak as honestly as I can without a script. So this is not going to be like one of those entertaining, flashy videos that you can sometimes get on this channel. This is more of an honest talk, but I feel these are really important because, as I said, this is really no holds barred. I really tell you all that's going on and the truth about my journey, with the hopes that whatever I learned and went through will benefit you, that you will learn from my mistakes, you will not repeat them, and you'll be able to kind of go together through this journey. And what I specifically want to talk about today is it's related to my martial arts journey, but it's not only limited to it. As you see, I probably named this video. Sometimes the name of the video changes as you record it and before you publish it. But the intention of the name is letting go of the hero complex. And maybe it's difficult to understand what that means. You'll definitely understand it by the end of this video. The way I thought about how to describe that is speaking about my own personal experience, how my desire to be special, different, and to do extraordinary things, how I realized eventually that it's getting in my way. And it's been happening throughout my whole life, that desire to be special, the desire to be different, and to do extraordinary things. It drove me in many ways. It allowed me to do great things. I think without that, I wouldn't have exchanged university into an Aikido school. I wouldn't have opened up my Aikido school. I wouldn't have went to the States to do the MMA training. There's so many things I wouldn't have done. But also so it's kind of like a double-edged sword. That same thing which motivated me and allowed me to go forward and do these crazy big things also got in my way more than once. And I believe it got in my way again. But not only that, I went through this last year, and this is the new year, so during the 2020s, it's been a strange year for a lot of people, I guess. And the COVID thing wasn't bad for me. Like, I work on my laptop, I don't socialize too much, so I didn't notice such a big difference. I actually enjoyed having shorter lines in the shops and seeing less people around. I was like, oh, more space for me. Besides, obviously, the seriousness of the whole situation, I admit that. I'm just kind of joking. But the COVID thing didn't impact me that much, I believe. And my process, this latest chapter of my journey started before COVID became a big thing. But over that year, I went through a lot of explorations. Some of you may know I started a second channel with quite a twist at the beginning, which I'm going to talk about. And then I renamed it and reformed it about a half year later. So now it's a different channel, but it's still a second channel, and I've been publishing very few videos on the martial arts journey. I've been not doing martial arts much during this year either, which I'm going to talk about too, so there's a lot of things to go through. But what does matter, and what's important to mention as well, is that through that year, a friend of mine from another country, that we know each other for some time now, quite a few years, she is a very high level coaching therapist. So she has a high level expertise in coaching, which is some people are confused on what coaching is, and I'm going for a coaching course right now myself. So I guess I can explain it, but not to make this too long. Coaching is, in a way, it's not about telling the person what to do, but it's about offering specific questions to help the person go through a process. It's difficult to really put a finger on it, but it's quite a powerful practice if the coach is good. So she's really good at that, and she's also a professional licensed therapist. And she offered me to do some coaching and therapy with me, and I thought, why not? And it's been quite something. It's been really quite something. I could say it was life-changing. I wouldn't refrain from saying that. But obviously you're more interested in the content of it, and that's what matters here. She's been coaching me for months and months, so we had quite a few sessions. And through it, we spoke about my childhood, and we actually started from today, my current explorations and my whole Aikido dilemma, because I have to admit, letting go of Aikido wasn't easy. I did it, I recorded it, But psychologically, it was a tough experience. It was my identity. My whole life was about that. And since I closed my school, I fell out with my former Aikido instructor. And what's probably worst is that my whole identity was tied around Aikido, and my whole philosophy was tied around Aikido, my kind of life perspective, my value system. And when I let go of that, I kind of acknowledged it, but I didn't look at it 100%. I became so busy with the martial arts journey, just going through the process and debunking martial arts and doing the MMA fight. I was really, on a journey. So I didn't look back that much. But with time passing, I realized more and more that it was a tough experience letting go of that identity, and I needed something new to exchange it with. And I guess MMA could have been that for me in some way, but it was more like a tool. It wasn't MMA, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. It wasn't like a perspective for me. It wasn't like a philosophy type of way. I didn't, get that sense of vibe in it. And so that whole structure of how I perceived the world, how I perceived my value structure, how I perceived what life is about was based on Aikido. And when I dropped it, it's not a coincidence that many people associated it or related it with losing your religion, or, letting go of your religion. Because I think that's similar. Because I'm not a religious person, just to put it on record. But let's say if I would believe that there's an almighty God and suddenly one day I stop believing that, again, that's a tough experience, because suddenly you are the big mighty guy which was protecting you and was giving you purpose and the sense of that everything has meaning. Suddenly he's gone. So what the fuck do you do now? So I actually have to admit I was in a similar situation. And I think that came to a blowing up point when I finished my fight camp in SBG Ireland. So not SBG Portland. I had the fight, and then I moved to Dublin to train with Coach John Kavanagh, which was a great experience, but I burned myself out there. I pushed myself too much, and I realized I was pushing myself for like this year and a half. Ever since I closed my Aikido school, I kept pushing myself and training so much that, again, I didn't have much space to really stop and think, so what my life is about right now. So I'm expanding quite a bit, and to make things easier, let's get your preferred beverage and let's drink a sip. So you could say that by now in this video, I kind of painted the landscape, more or less. It's such a big, complicated subject that I'm tackling, but I want to get to the meat and potatoes of it, to the very essence of the thing and the transformation, what I realized lately. So one more thing to mention before I get to the actual transformation of what happened to me. When I came back from SBG Ireland, I was exhausted. I was tired. My second fight got canceled because I got injured, and that was a real downer. Anyone who knows MMA knows what that means. You're preparing so much. You're investing so much of yourself to do this big thing, and you're preparing for months for that one day, and suddenly you can't do it. And it's like, holy crap, what do I do now? So that added into it. And then I came back to Lithuania, and I had a break, and I started questioning. So what my life is about. So what am I doing? And that's where I think my old pattern, which I had again for years, that double-edged sword that I mentioned that motivates me and also makes me destructive, that thing got to me again. It started to reappear. Of basically, you could say, of wanting to be extraordinary, of wanting to be different, special, and to do something amazing. And back then, at that moment, I still didn't know where that's coming from. My coaching therapist, she helped me realize that, and it was really a shocker. It was like, whoa, that's deep, and I'm gonna get to that. So let's say this is like the interesting part, the hook to keep you listening. But yeah, so that pattern, it drove me to train Aikido, to become a full-time live-in student, to open my own Aikido school, to go against the odds, basically, and to succeed in many ways. But even when I look back at when I was running my Aikido Dojo, I always had this nagging feeling of, I need to do more. There's something more special that I should be doing. And the downside to that, and I see that quite clearly right now, is that would lead me to neglect everything that I did already, and that would lead to me to neglect and underappreciate what I achieved. So when I was living in Switzerland, as an Aikido living student, it was all about opening the dojo. I was so focused on it for a whole 3 years. Sometimes I would appreciate. I was like, holy crap, this is so cool. I'm living a ninja life, in the dojo and this and that. But most of the times, my mind was on the future, on the dojo. When I opened my dojo, I celebrated that to a degree, and I was like, hey, this is so cool. But a big part of me was like, no, but I need to save the world. That was kind of like a phrase that would be, as silly as that is, this is the Spilling the Guts episode, that pattern was in my mind, that desire to make a world difference. And that always kind of made me feel a bit, I was discontent. That's the right word. I was discontent because I was like, it's not enough. There should be more. I should be doing more. I'm not reaching enough people. And in a way, that's what led me to create Martial Arts Journey, the YouTube channel. And because I was like, oh, through this channel, I can reach more people and I can make a world global significance. And then the Martial Arts Journey became the Aikido Journey, the Aikido to MMA Journey. And the crazy thing is, it did impact many people. Like the channel has a mind-blowing amount of views. Like, I think it's probably like around 50 million views in total. People recognize me in different countries as I travel. It became a norm. And I think that's actually, when you look at it, that's really special. But for me, that was like, no, but only the martial arts people know me. I'm not making like a world difference to everyone. And I think that part got to me. Since I came back from SBD Ireland, I came back to Lithuania, and I started questioning, okay, so what my life is about. And that feeling of being discontent, of feeling like it's not enough, that started to get to me as well. And now the crazy part is, which if you're following this journey, you know what I'm talking about. I did this weird thing, which a lot of people were confused about, and I get it why. I tried this thing with creating an outfit and trying to kind of become a hero. And, that's crazy. I admit it. And I feel a bit bad about that. I feel a bit ashamed that I did that. But the thing is, now I realize how it went down. And trust me, it's not even easy to talk about it. But again, this channel is all about that. It's talking about things that matter, even if you don't feel like doing that, even if it feels uncomfortable. But it was a dream I had, an idea I had since teenage years. That's when I think my pattern of wanting to be special, wanting to make a big difference, when I was thinking, so how could I do that? I had this idea, if I become like this hero figure, if I become a symbol, and that's where it all relates with Batman. But the idea was, if I become this special figure, then I will really do my best to change the world. That will inspire people. And that was kind of the idea. And I was like, you know what? I always kept thinking about it. It was always somewhere in the back of my mind, that idea. And eventually, when I basically turned 30, I decided, you know what, it's time. I'm done with martial arts at the moment. I did my martial arts journey. I did my Aikido versus MMA rematch. It was successful enough. And I was like, now it's time to save the world. And right away, my mind was going to that idea, become special, make this outfit, and become a hero. Again, it's crazy, but it made sense to me at that moment. And it failed. It didn't work out. It was not clear enough what I'm doing. I didn't take the right approach. I tried to shove down that idea through the Martial Arts Journey YouTube channel, which was again a mistake because it's a different context. I did a bunch of mistakes, and I didn't get the results that I wanted to. I thought it's just gonna work itself out. It did kind of happen a few times in my life. Everybody said that my Aikido Dojo was not gonna work out. But I made it work out, and a lot of people were skeptical about my martial arts YouTube channel. They thought it's nothing big is going to happen from it, and it became quite big. So I went against the odds more than once in my life, and I thought, this is how I do it. I go against the odds, and it's going to work out, and it kind of didn't. And I guess if I would have pushed for it, and if I would have believed in it so deeply, maybe I would have made it work. But I felt myself even like that something is missing. Like I felt like I'm not sure if this is the right way that I'm going through. And that's where coaching therapy comes in, because we had all those sessions and we had all those talks. I was given a lot of brilliant questions. And so going through those sessions, it was, first of all, I was surprised because I always heard about that therapy thing where things connect to your childhood and to your father and etc. And I was like, yeah, it sounds, I guess it makes sense, but I never thought, it's like a big thing. But then, surprise, surprise, that's what turned out to happen to me. And I'll make this story short as I can. This is already like a long video, but some of you may know that my dad had a stroke when I was 13 and close to 14, I think. And I might be mixing up the years, but basically around that age. And that was around the time I started Aikido as well. And at that moment, I didn't think much of it. I thought like, this is normal, it happened. But then as I spoke with my coach, I realized with her help that was a very impactful thing. That's like, basically she pointed that out to me and I realized it's true. I was 13, a very important stage of development. And suddenly my protector, my father figure, disappears. Not like disappears, but in front of my eyes crumbles. Like I saw him losing motion and almost dying in front of me. And then he spent months upon months in the hospital. It took a long time for him to recover his speech. He couldn't write, he couldn't talk. It made me think how short and fragile life is. But then what my coach also pointed out, so actually, I'll make a point here. So I think that made me feel like I have to rush through life. I always felt like, I always felt like time is limited, so I need to push things. And I would kind of sprint. And you can kind of see that in a way. It was not always sprinting, but I'm like, I'm doing Aikido, and then suddenly I do Aikido versus MMA, and I quit my organization, and I quit Aikido, and I closed my dojo, and I moved to the States, and I do MMA fight, and moved to Ireland, I do and it's like, I'm fast paced. I'm like, let's do this, let's not waste time. And again, it has pros and cons. But the other thing is, what my coach justly helped me realize is that also, because it was a traumatic experience for me, seeing my dad collapse and almost die, that potentially that made me feel, and I think it's true, so I'm gonna say it made me feel insecure in a way where I'm like, shit, this is I need to somehow protect myself. And I think it was all happening subconsciously, but I was searching for protective mechanisms. And my protective mechanism probably was, I need to become a hero. No one is going to protect me, so I need to protect myself and I need to protect others. So it's a long story, it's hard to explain everything. It's still fairly fresh for myself, but I realized it's true. That desire to be extraordinary, to become the protector, to save everyone, I think it became ingrained in me. And even before that, earlier in my kid years, I was also bullied. And I think already that pattern of wanting to protect others, like very, very anime stuff, became part of me. But that moment with my dad having the stroke, it really enforced it. And then I kept enforcing that in my life. And thus, one of the reasons why I'm related with this guy. This is a statue of Batman. It's blurry, but maybe you can see it. So that's why I always identified with Batman. I have 2 tattoos because, he went for a similar thing. And it was all subconscious, which is like the brilliant thing. It wasn't like a conscious realization. And so I felt drawn to Batman, but now it just makes so much sense why. His parents die at a young age, and he needs to create this mechanism that protects him too, and he goes on becoming a hero, and I related with that, and that's what I kind of wanted too. But when I realized that that's the case, that's what drove me to a lot of nutty decisions, starting from not going to university, becoming a live-in Aikido student, etc., etc. When I realized that all of that was kind of self-inflicted in a way, like it was a mental construct, because in a way I guess as much as a critical thinker I try to be, and that's where I think critical thinking helped me realize that too, was that beforehand I had this idea of the world, like the world, like there's the hero's journey, Joseph Campbell, the call to the journey, the follow your bliss, that there's kind of I said I'm not religious and I don't believe in a God, but I guess I was more agnostic in the sense of believing that there's a reason behind things, and that things work out, and that there's a purpose to life, that I have a greater purpose. And so I was in that, you could say, I guess, illusion. And that in a way that was helpful because that drove so many of my decisions, that shaped my character so much. But now when I realized that probably it was all self-inflicted, and what I mean by that is, it was a mental construct to protect my own psyche, which I became attached to. It was a very interesting moment because in a way it was liberating. It was like, holy crap. So, okay, so most likely all of that is make-up beliefs. It's just a story I made up by my own. And so I don't have to be a hero. I don't have to save the world. In a way, it's nonsense. It's just something I came up with. But on the other hand, it's a scary place to be too, because suddenly I'm like, fuck, suddenly I don't have a greater purpose. Suddenly I'm not destined to be some abnormal hero guy. So that definitely makes you feel like a bit of an existential crisis. So crap. So what is my life about? And I already mentioned I had that crisis with losing the Aikido identity, and now I'm losing the Batman identity. I'm like, fuck. So what do I do now? So I came to this big kind of mind-blowing realization maybe a couple of months ago, again with with the help of my coach. And so it's been some time that I started working on it, but also it's still fresh. It's still fairly fresh, but good things are starting to come out of it. And one of the things is that desire to do extraordinary things and to push things and to always go for more. First of all, it was driving me to burnouts many times. Like I kept burning myself out. Like I would burn myself out every a couple months or 3 months because I was always like, I need to do more. This is not enough. This is not enough. And now as I'm settling into a new mindset and I'm questioning my old mindset, that hero mindset, I'm starting to realize, shoot, I don't have to do things and I don't have to push myself and I can choose what I do. And there's no, most likely, it's still new for me, I'm still questioning, but there's no greater force which is looking at my back and saying, Rokas, you should do more, you're not doing enough. It's like, it's my life and I choose what to do with it. And for me, helping other people, inspiring other people was always important. And I'm making a bit of a jump because suddenly I'm starting to realize I don't need to lose that. I can still appreciate my desire to want to be useful to people, to create value. But beforehand, in the old mindset, it was very pushy because I was like, I need to help people. And if I'm not helping people, I'm not doing a good job. So my mind was always about doing good and helping others. And it sounds very heroic, but at the same time, as I mentioned at the beginning, it was getting in my way because I would do too much. I would burn myself out. And eventually that would work against me. And I wouldn't really like a lot of my life I wouldn't enjoy because I was always, again, coming to my second point, I was always upset. I was always like, this is not enough. And that's another big revelation that I had is the sad part to my old mindset is that I didn't appreciate what I had, including the martial arts journey. And that's kind of the paradox because I wanted to make a global change. I wanted to inspire people in a global level, but that always in my childhood constructed Batman hero complex, that I had the associations of I have to become this hero figure and I have to do something grandiose. And so I was so attached to an image of what I should be and what I should do to achieve that again, nothing was good enough. And that basically I did create a sort of a global impact through martial arts journey. So many people were impacted by my journey, by seeing how I transformed, how I discovered the flaws of my martial art, how I questioned my identity, etc., etc., etc. So I know through all the countless emails and messages, comments, that I did make a global impact, literally. Maybe not to everyone and in one field, but still that's extraordinary. That's amazing. But I never stopped to appreciate that. For me, it was always like, no, that's not enough. This is not it, because it's just martial arts. And that's what I was thinking a year ago. But now, as I'm questioning my old mindset, I'm stopping and taking a look at it, and I'm starting to realize, shoot, this is something special. And funny too, I was planning to record this video for a while now, but today specifically I was reorganizing my old videos in Martial Arts Journey, and I didn't watch so many of my videos. I just record them, release them, and that's it. But today I kind of took a look at some of them, and I was like, oh, this is pretty good stuff. It's like, oh, I said something smart here. I was like looking at it, I was like, that's actually kind of special what's going on here. But beforehand, it always felt to me inferior. It always felt to me like, yeah, this is just a thing in the way. I just need to get this martial arts journey thing, done. I need to do the MMA fight, and I need to do this, and then I should go for what really matters, and that's becoming a hero, whatever that means. And in a way, I created, just looking at it objectively, I created something special. I created something significant, important, and I have this knowledge, and I have this experience, this unique story, and I was pushing it aside. I did not give it enough credit, and my journey started to suffer from it. I started going all over the place, and I think it's good that I'm exploring things and I'm trying new things and seeing what I want to do, but at the same time, I'm like, it doesn't make sense for me to let go of this wonderful thing that happened in my life, and that is the martial arts journey, the quest that I was on, and the impact that I already have, and the access to the impact that I already have through this tool. I took it for granted, and I did not appreciate it enough, and I did not even use it enough. There's so many more things I can do on the martial arts journey that would be valuable to others. But I'm coming to look at it from a different perspective now, of not like I must do it because there's some bigger force in life which is pushing me to do it, but it's like, and I think that's the new mindset that I'm developing and starting to appreciate, is I choose to do it because it's cool, because I like it, and I have the capacity to do it. And why not, and I might as well also take some time off sometimes and enjoy life and try out other things. I'm still planning to continue to develop my second YouTube channel, Critical Thinkers. I enrolled in a intensive 2-month YouTubers course, like a really good one. It's going to start Tuesday, so I'm looking forward, and I'm going to implement that to my new channel and to the martial arts journey, because I realized, I should appreciate what I have way more, and I shouldn't, it's kind of cliche, but the grass is greener on the other side of the fence thing. I was always, most of my life, I was looking towards the next thing, and potentially that next thing didn't even exist. Like, it was this kind of a crazy, overblown idea of what's the next thing, and for that reason, I would not appreciate what I already have, what I already achieved, what I already gained, and what I can do with that. I think there's plenty more that I can do with the martial arts journey, and there's plenty more that I can do with the new channel, Critical Thinkers. But I think I will do way better if I'll get that heroes complex out of the way. If I won't be doing that for some, again, I keep repeating myself, but cut me some slack. I'm digesting things as I'm see these difficult life matters as I'm talking to you. But yeah, so letting go of the heroes complex, I can do it on my own pace, on my own terms, having realistic expectations, having a realistic perspective, and taking things one step at a time, and doing my best to do it in a good way, instead of always thinking that this is just a thing in the way, this is just a tick box to go on some imaginary quest. So yeah. And actually, yeah, before I make a summary, before I wrap things up, that question comes up quite a lot, is like, do you train? Are you still training? Are you going to still train? And are you going to have your second MMA fight? And it's still early for me to say. I did say that for the past year, I was I did train some martial arts, but very little compared to what I did in the past. But I'm starting to feel more passionate about that again. I'm starting to see myself, an image of myself doing some MMA again, and maybe doing a second MMA fight somewhere down the road. I'm still not there yet where I'm like, oh yeah, let's do this, especially because COVID is here, and I realized I prefer training full time. It's like, so I don't dismiss an idea of me moving to, let's say, Portland again for like a month or two, training full time, and then and then maybe doing a fight, and then seeing what's next. But right now it's COVID, so that's limited. The lockdown is still there. But yeah, I'm starting to feel warm again towards martial arts. I don't know if that will be my whole life is going to be about that as it used to be, but I feel there's still plenty of things I can do for it. I'm starting to feel more warm again towards the martial arts journey and making some interviews and making some videos and investigations. Like, yeah, I feel like I can give something cool to people, and so why not? So basically, it's still a bit early to say what I'm gonna do exactly next, but I can tell you that for sure I'm gonna start coming back more to the martial arts journey, making more content. Probably will take on martial arts again soon enough, and I think it's gonna be cool. And as a summary for the video, so yes, I realized I had a mental construct of wanting to be a hero, which pushed me, but also got in my way because it was subconscious, and I think the subconscious things are the ones which can mess you up because you're not in control of them. Now I realize what my mental construct was, and I can manipulate it. I can decide what I take, what I don't take, what I do, what I don't do. And I'm starting to rediscover something I didn't mention in the video, but it's important. I started to rediscover that actually, you know what? I don't need to imagine that some bigger life force is giving me some purpose. I can choose to have my own purpose. I can choose my own values, and I can define my own life. I can define my own story, obviously in collaboration with life itself. You cannot control life. But yeah, I can do things in my own way, and the hero's mentality, the hero's complex motivated me, but also got in my way, and I'm intending to let go of that, move into a different paradigm, and probably do some more martial arts journey videos. And I hope that this video was useful to you. I know it was ranty and it's unedited, unscripted, but I hope you found value in it too. I hope my lessons that I'm learning are giving you benefit, and I hope that this is helping you understand better of what was going on with me and through my mind for the last year. And hopefully this is also a moment for the next chapter to put a bit of a dot on what happened for the last year and start another fresh chapter and see what cool things we can do from there, because again, why not? So thank you for watching. Thank you for your patience. I know it's been a long video, but I really appreciate you sticking with it. So let me know in the comments what you think about this whole thing. Did you find some value in this video? What was interesting to you? Do you have some feedback for me? I'm always open for feedback. And yeah, so I'll be seeing you more often again on the martial arts journey. So thank you for following as always, and I'll see you on the virtual net again soon.